would follow the white line down the edge of the road. I got off the bike and sort of the body went one way and the mind went the other, and then I sat down to put on my runners, and as I put my head down I went all dizzy. That's about as much as I can remember.
Oh, she's arrived. How's your day?
I really like to catch up with my friends and I guess hang out with my fiancée as much as I can, and that's pretty much where my time's spent. My family's everything to me, my friends are everything to me, and they will always come first.
Leading into 2005, I feel pretty good. I think you always feel good when you finish your season strong. It gives you that sort of motivation to go into your training, into your racing for the next year. I'm sort of at the point in my career where I don't feel a lot of pressure to have to place well. I'm not saying that I don't want to do well. I do, but I don't feel like it would be the end of the world if I didn't. But at the same time, the number of races that I have left in me are so much fewer than those people that are just starting. So you kind of want to make the best of each one that's left. Rock and I met in high school. We were in 10th grade, 1983, and
Way back
when, met through some friends and have been together ever since. Rock started triathlons in the mid-'80s, you know, before we were out of high school. I would go and watch him and think it was crazy. I enjoyed watching it, but I honestly never thought I would actually do a triathlon.
When Heather won the race in 1997, nobody thought Heather had the talent to win the Ironman.
A lot of memories from when Heather won Ironman Hawaii in 1997. I think it was about mile 20. We got a good idea that, you know, unless she blew up, she was going to win, and I was kind of in shock, you know, because the whole time in our career, that's what we looked up to. That was our Super Bowl. And I just remember I was standing back behind the finish line. When she crossed, it was just, the emotions were pretty amazing.
She's like this quiet housewife. You don't see her as this animal, you know, this woman who can just devour people on the run. And she's got the sweetest demeanor. She's really a quiet, unassuming, charming lady that you would never think is this fire-breathing dragon.
I can't go to the Masters and play with Jack Nicklaus. I can't say, hey, Shaq, let's go on the court and play some hoops. I can't go, hit the ball around with Bjorn Borg at Wimbledon. But here I am at the World Championships at Ironman, and I'm treading on water, and I'm looking over, and there's Heather Fuhr, there's Lori Bowden, there's Peter Reed. And when the race is over, we're able to sit down and have a cocktail and talk, man, the wind out by about Javi was nasty. How bad was it for you guys? You're the same as they are. And there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for there's this fraternity of pain and a fraternity of suffering that allows you to identify with our athletes.
The growth potential is limitless at this point. We're still very, very small. So I see the growth of the sport continuing.
The growth has been because we've been a very inclusive sport. If you look at Southern California, Tri Club of San Diego has over 1,000 members. Tri Club of LA has 1,500 members. Orange County has over 500 members. Inland Inferno has another 500 members. Santa Barbara, there's all these clubs in a very small region of the country that are huge. And why is it? Because it's not just a sport. It's people's social life.
Most people get involved in triathlon just for the dream, the challenge.
What skills do you need for triathlon? I mean, if you wore arm floaties as a kid, if you had a paper route, and if you played catch the flag, you've got our skill set. You don't have to have any skills, so anybody can do it.
You can take any healthy person, put them on a program, and within 6 months you can get them to an Ironman race.
So I think that endurance sports are a world and a culture unto themselves, and the challenge is a little bit more cerebral, a little bit more mystical, and not as intelligible to a lot of people.
Someone who has enough drive to want to take on a challenge that is not an easy challenge.
A lot of people think, God, wouldn't it be cool to make a living as a professional athlete? They have no idea.
The most 5 to 10 centimeters, and the city shut down. They closed down the airport, they closed down the highways. The city's not used to snow. Well, all right, I'll get in as many hours as I can on my mountain bike. So I headed off on my mountain bike, and about an hour and a half in, I was like, this is gonna happen. The roads are pretty dry, and I'm not getting too cold. I think I might be able to get my 4 hours in. 30 minutes later, I'm freezing. I'm riding on roads that are covered with ice. I'm having trouble just staying up on my bike. And then all of a sudden, it was like, well, this isn't gonna happen. And luckily, I headed off onto a little trail. I managed to get 3 hours in. 4 hours to 3 hours, that's still pretty close to what I wanted to do. A lot of times I'll be out there, on a run or on a ride, and I'll be freezing, I'll be cold, and I'll be like, oh, this is so painful. And then I'll think to myself, none of my competitors are doing this. I get a little bit of strength out of this. There was always stuff going on as a kid that always taught me to keep fighting and keep moving forward. I've been able to apply that to triathlon. Well, I looked at other kids growing up, and it seemed to be a lot steadier. For me, it was always ups and downs. When you're living in a really nice house, a country house, a week later you're in an apartment and your dad's driving a Chevy Nova from his Porsche. You're in private school, 1 week, next week you're back in public school. You're totally aware that things aren't that good. I think all those, childhood things have a really big effect on who I am as an athlete.
I can remember the first time I sat down with Peter Reed, who I had never sat down with before, but I met him at a coffee shop not far from here. We had a cup of coffee, and I walked away, and I said, I can do it.
I finished, the year obviously with Christmas and the holidays, and it was nice. Rock and I went back up to Canada and visited our family. Once January 1st comes and it's time to sort of switch the focus from off-season to getting into what I would consider preseason training. And so I've now had a couple of weeks of decent training, and everything's going well.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, big good morning and welcome to you all in 2005 Carlsbad Marathon. To all you marathoners and half marathoners, good morning, welcome.
I decided to give my running a jump start and go and jump into the San Diego half marathon. Go and just give a good solid run and see where everything was.
A jolt to the system. But it's good.
It's pretty amazing. I don't think in our wildest dreams we thought we could ever be where we are now. The first year or two that we came down to San Diego. We lived in an apartment. We never went out for dinner. We had a TV about the size of this. We sat there and watched TV every night and had maybe one piece of furniture in the whole house and a little bed upstairs. It got a little better when, you had more like a sofa and a nicer TV. And it just became, once things became a little more comfortable and you felt like you were actually living in a home, you started to be able to create a home for yourself. I suppose that's what makes it all the more sweet now, is because you can see where you've come from and to where we are now. If it was smooth sailing the whole way, we probably wouldn't appreciate what we have.
There was a time, I think it was 1992, we were down in Florida somewhere, and I had just broken my arm from a bike crash. We were planning to go do it. She was doing an all-women's dance skin race. It was in Boca Raton.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't racing. We were scraping by, staying in the worst hotels. Credit cards maxed out. And she placed, I think, 10th, and it was $100. It was great. Finally $100. So you go to the awards, and checks in the mail.
I know, we had to buy groceries.
Exactly.
We need the money.
Well, multisports.com, we provide personalized coaching, online coaching, training camps. And Heather works really closely. She's always helped at our training camps to be one of the top pro triathletes. A couple years ago, she started working more closely, and her